Hi, this is a tutorial series on literature in English, and this will be our very first class. But before we start, let me just quickly chip in that this tutorial is brought to you by O3 School's JAMB app, and that is an app recommended for students to help them make adequate preparations for their examination, to help them get their desired score. So the app is available for download on Play Store and PCs as well. So you can download and activate, and you get access to all the features that the app has to offer. So let's start with our class. For today, we'll be starting with introduction. We want to look at introduction to literature. We want to see what is literature all about? What does it encompass? What's Why do we study literature even? Like, why is it even a subject in school? Why is it necessary? Why is it important? I want to look at it today. Just a brief introduction, starting with the definition. First off, what is literature? Before we go into actual definition of literature, we'll see that literature is believed to have originated from the Latin word litera, which is loosely transcribed to meaning letters. Then it is believed to have evolved to literatura, which means knowledge gained from letters or from writing. Let's just still use letters. Some others believe that the word is gotten from the word literate, and we know what this means, being able to read and write. So this is where the term literature is believed to have been gotten from. So now to a definition of literature. Based on the nature, or should I say the scope, the area that literature covers, it is practically impossible to have a definite definition. It's impossible to like define literature totally. Every attempt to give the term literature a definition only exposes you to another area that you are not considering. So, but then some definitions have been put forward. Let's see some. First off, literature has been defined as the mirror of life. Some people define literature as the mirror of life. Just literature is the body of written works. So any written work at all, when you look at it, you are dealing with literature. Another definition is that literature is an interpretation of human expressions that teaches us how to live. Another definition that has been put forward is that literature is a body of work used to transmit culture. So these are just a few examples of some of the definitions of literature that has been put forward to you, like try and encompass everything that literature is all about. Now, most of these definitions is really based on written. Yes, much of literature is written, but there's also oral and visual, which now brings us to the forms of literature. There are two forms of literature. We have the oral literature, which is sometimes shortened to orature, and two, we have the written literature. These are the two forms of literature that we have: oral literature and written literature. So, first off, oral literature. So, oral literature, like the name implies, is a form of literature that is spoken or sung or performed. This is the oldest form of literature known to man. Before innovation, before technology, this was the form of literature that we had. That was what was practiced, oral literature. And it was passed down with the mouth, words of mouth, over the years, through generations. Oral literature was passed through the mouth with words of mouth. And although today much of oral literature has been written down, it still exists. In some parts of Africa, oral literature is still being practiced. And oral literature can be in form of riddles, jokes, folk tales, now we call stories, songs, tongue twisters, ballads, ballads. Then And then we look at written literature. Written has to do with documentation, the form of literature that is written down, that has been documented, whether by hand or print or electronically, thanks to advancements in technology. As long as it has been documented, that is written literature. And it can be in the form of novels, textbooks, biographies and autobiographies and the likes, plays, newspapers, poems written down. These are written literature. It can be in any of this form. And then these two forms of literature can either be fiction or non-fiction. We'll deal with that when we get to general literature terms. So these are the two forms of literature. Now let's look at the functions of literature, or the reasons why we study literature. Functions of literature. Literature plays four basic functions. We have education, two, we have entertainment, we have information, and history. These are the basic functions that literature plays in our society. These are the reasons why we bother to study literature, why we bother to even like deal with literature. First off, we have education. Literature helps in education. It helps to develop the mind in different forms. Learning literature, like the study of literature, develops our minds. And then also other disciplines, they have textbooks. And those textbooks are written literature, just like we looked at in forms of literature. Those textbooks are written literature. So it helps your literature helps us in education because those textbooks aid your study of other disciplines. So literature aids in education. Entertainment. Literature can serve as a source of entertainment. It can serve as a source of joy, relaxation, pleasure, comfort, what have you. Because for everyone, there is a literary material. Whether you're into books, novels, motivational books, newspapers, magazines, movies, plays, whatever it is you are into, listening to spoken words, it is all part of literature. So whatever it is you do in your spare time or in times when you are bored, it has to do with literature, which is why that is one of the functions that literature plays in our society today. Information. Then we have information. Literature helps us to inform us of things happening around us and even things that are not happening around us could be happening far away, but they could be written down. You have newspapers, you have documentaries that can tell you you are here in Nigeria, or you can tell what is happening in other countries thanks to advancement in study of literature. Then we have history. Literature helps us preserve our history. It is through literature that we are alive now, but we can tell things that happened in the 90s, in the 80s, because these things have been passed down. Some of it has been even written down for us to see. Though we're not there, but based on literature, we are able to tell, we can know things that have happened then, we can know our history. So this is it for introduction to literature. We've looked at the origin of literature, some definitions that were put forward, and then we look at the forms of literature, which are the oral and written literature, as well as functions of literature, which is why we study literature. So that's where we'll stop for today. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.